Hi everyone, welcome to English 1100. My name is Jacob Hale and I will be your instructor for the course. In this video, I want to walk you through some of your first steps getting started in our class, as well as what we are doing during week one. Every week on Sunday or Monday, I will release these videos that give an overview of the assignments for the week. They are not mandatory, but I've had a few students in the past let me know that this really helped them get a better sense of what was expected of them and how to approach certain assignments. So there won't be any like information in these videos that is like 100% necessary or anything that isn't already found somewhere else in our class. But if you know that you tend to work better hearing things explained or having someone kind of walk you through stuff, then I would make sure to watch these videos each week. That being said, this video is going to be a little bit longer than our subsequent videos, just because there's a lot more to go over at the start of the class. When you log into our course Blackboard site, it'll take you to this announcements page where you can see the announcements that I send out. I always have these also go to your email, so you can find them here, but they will also be sent directly to you. And then if you haven't already, you should go to Orientation Start Here, which is the tab over here on the left. You'll see a bunch of useful information here. There's a lot to go over. I would take a brief look at each tab, get a sense of the information that it is presenting there. If you think it is relevant to you, if you think it'll be helpful, read it more thoroughly, but you don't necessarily need to read every single bit of information here. This is mostly a collection of resources to help you out. So the first tab is actually this. This is just an intro message to our class or some instructions here for you to follow. Next, an explanation about what is in our course site, a Blackboard orientation. If you are new to Blackboard, I would definitely be sure to complete this orientation. A lot of people, especially if you aren't super like computer savvy, if you've never taken an online class before, if it's been a while since you've been in school, Blackboard can be a little bit tricky to navigate. So make sure to do this orientation. Here you will find some sources for getting started with online learning. Similar to the Blackboard orientation, if you haven't taken an online class before, you'll find this information helpful. This tab is the IT Support Center. If you experience any issues with your computer or Blackboard or Microsoft Word, you can let me know about that. In fact, it's usually a good idea just, if you encounter any problems, let me know. Sometimes I will be able to help you, but that's not really my specialty. The technology side of things, you will often be better off contacting the help desk. Here you can find information about disability services. If you have any disabilities or you need any learning accommodations, you should contact Disability Services. They will work with you. And then once you have worked with them, they will give you a letter of accommodation that you can give to me. And I will make sure that you receive any accommodations that you need. Be more than happy to help you out with any of that. Here is a link to our course policies, or I should really say like the college policies. This is information that if you haven't already read it for another class, it wouldn't hurt to at least skim it over, just get a sense of sort of the policies and principles that guide Columbus State. Similar, here's a student handbook. I wouldn't read the whole thing if I were you, but I would skim through it, take a look at what sections you think might be relevant to you, and maybe read those portions. Next, here is where you can install a free version of Microsoft Office. That will really help you out. If you don't already have Microsoft Word, I would make sure to get it. Here you'll find information about writing tutoring. Here is a link to the Purdue Online Writing Lab. They can help you out with lots of things related to like grammar and MLA. Here is a link to our library services. Here is a library research guide that will definitely be helpful to you a little bit later on in our course. Here is a Columbus State guide on using MLA. MLA is the style of writing that we'll be using in this class, as well as the citation method that we'll be using. Here are some college and community resources you can take a look at. And finally, information about adding or changing your chosen name, as well as your pronouns for your college records. You can do that if you'd like. It is not required. My pronouns, for the record, are he, him, his. If you would like to let me know what yours are, feel free to do that. I would be happy to know. Also, if you ever want to, correct me on the pronunciation of your name, there won't be too many times in which we actually talk directly to each other. But if you want me to know how to correctly pronounce your name, feel free to maybe send me that in an email. I would appreciate that. So that's the orientation start here tab. Next, I would look at course information. Again, whole bunch of information here. This is, so the orientation start here, a lot of this information is there if you need it. It's sort of situationally useful. The course information tab, this is stuff that is more directly relevant to English 1100. Here you'll find a tour of our Blackboard site, which I'm doing a little bit of that now, but this video is going to be a little bit more in depth, so I would take a look at that. Here is an explanation of how our course site works, what each of these tabs are and what you will find there. Here's information about our syllabus and textbook. The syllabus is right here. The textbook that we are using are the Norton Field Guide to Writing 5th edition. It doesn't matter if you get the print or the physical copy or the electronic copy. It doesn't matter to me. The electronic copy is probably cheaper. So if I were you, that's probably what I would get, unless you just really like having a physical copy of the book. Here is also the Composition Reading Bank. This is a free resource. It's a collection of various essays and articles that we'll be using a little bit in this class. This tab has some information about me. Here is my Columbus State email address. If you email me, I will get back to you as soon as I can. That's almost always going to be within 24 hours. A lot of times it'll be much sooner than that. I check my emails usually a couple times a day. However, on the weekend, that's where my response times might get a little bit longer. As much as I can, I try not to work a bunch on the weekend. Here is my work phone number. You can use this if we have already set up an appointment to talk. So if you want to talk with me on the phone, I realize that not everyone communicates very well over email. Just make sure to email me first. We'll set up a time to have a phone or Zoom conversation. My office hours are by appointment, so if you want to meet and talk, again, let me know. And here's a little bit of information about me. Here you will find an explanation of our course calendar and various due dates, such as when our major writing projects are due. I would strongly recommend putting this information into your calendar on your phone, or into, if you use like a planner or a schedule or anything like that, just so those due dates don't take you by surprise in the future. Grading criteria is an explanation of how you're going to be graded in the class. Here are instructions for how you will submit your work for the weekly assignments. And I'm glossing over a lot of this information just because this video would take forever if I went through it and read all of this information. So make sure to read these things on your own time. If you have any questions, feel free to follow up with me. The discussion board assignments, you will typically receive a grade or feedback from me within 7 days. Same thing with your weekly work. You're going to submit some work at the end of each week. When you do that, I will typically get back to you within 7 days. Again, it'll usually be sooner. I try to get grades back within like 2-3 days as opposed to 7. The writing projects, though, I give really pretty thorough feedback on the major projects in this class, so that naturally just takes me longer to do. I will get those back to you typically within 2 weeks. When I leave comments on your assignments, here's an explanation of where to find that. Here is our course revision policy. Here's an explanation of about how much time you should spend in working on the various class assignments. Here are some tips for using the textbook, some tips for staying on top of our coursework, and just some general information about where all the information in this course came from. So a lot of information, a lot of work with there. As I said, the orientations start here. That's more information for like if a situation arises, you'll find some useful stuff there. Course information, that is stuff that I would make sure to look over pretty closely before getting started on the work in this class. I'm now on the Our Classroom tab, which again could be found over here on the left. Each week we have a folder that contains everything you need for that week. So readings, assignments, that's where you'll submit your assignments. Everything is in these folders. So our first week, I'm going to go ahead and open this up and we can talk about what's going on here. The information here is presented one page at a time. And let me zoom in just a little bit there. And I'm also going to make my picture a little bit smaller so I'm not blocking as much of the screen. So each week you're going to have these slides essentially that are going to walk you through various things that we're doing in the class. There's always going to be an overview, and then you'll see the tasks are broken down, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on. And then towards the end of the week is when you're going to submit your work. To navigate to the different tabs, you can click these links here. You can also click these arrows to go to the next page. So this is our overview of week 1. This week we'll introduce ourselves to the class, practice navigating our course site, and engage in a writing activity. I hope you enjoy getting started. Be sure to send an email if you have any questions. In a second, we're going to move on to task 1.1, but first, it's a good idea to click through all of the screens in these weekly modules at the beginning of the week. Skim through them, write due dates down in your planner or calendar. That way things aren't taking you by surprise later on. Looking through everything up front at the beginning of the week is a good way to get an idea of how much time you'll need to spend doing the various activities. There is a weekly schedule template here that you can download if you'd like. The template is filled out with a suggested schedule for working a little bit on the course each day of the week. I'm going to move on to task 1.1, which is getting comfortable with Blackboard. If you've never used Blackboard before, there's this Blackboard orientation, which I pointed out to you a few minutes ago. You can also watch this video, which is the tour of our Blackboard site. I also pointed that out to you in a previous location on our Blackboard site. And as I have already said, be sure to look at the course information and the orientation button. Take a look at really each part of the site just to get an idea of where things are located. In task 1.2, you're going to learn how to use our textbook. You'll see that for each of these tasks, I have an approximate time it will take to finish it. That is just a rough idea of how long it will take. This, of course, depends on just, how quickly it takes you to read things or to watch things. It is going to vary by individual. If you are using the ebook, the electronic version of our textbook, you can click the link below to get some tips for making the most of that book. And then here's a video, a short video for tips on how to use the print version of the textbook. Again, doesn't matter which one you use, totally up to you. Task 1.3, we're going to be doing some reading. This is how pretty much every week is going to work. There's almost always going to be some kind of reading that you'll do towards the beginning of the week. So in your textbook, in the Norton Field Guide, I'd like you to read Academic Literacies, which is chapters 1, 2, and 4, and then Rhetorical Situations, which is chapters 5 through 9. In addition to that, I'd like you to read 10 Ways to Think About Writing, Metaphoric Musings for College Writing Students, which you can find at this link here. Task 1.4 is making your Wednesday week 1 discussion post. You will almost always have some sort of discussion post due on Wednesdays. This is, I point out here that this is an online class, but we'll be trying to interact with each other as much as possible, just to make it feel like we aren't all just, sitting alone in our houses. So the class is very discussion and interaction oriented. By Wednesday of this week at 11:59, you need to post 25 things about me. You'll find the instructions here. You should introduce yourself. You can include silly things, serious things, mundane things, whatever you want to share to help me and your classmates get to know you a little bit better. I will be making a post as well so you can get to know me. I'd also like you to include a photo of yourself or a photo of something that represents you. I especially like it when students have a photo of themselves. It just makes it easier for me to, get a sense of who you are. I can attach a name to a face, which just, makes me feel like I know you a little bit better. And you have some instructions here on how to make your discussion board post and a video here on how to insert a photo into your post, as well as a video on how to embed video or audio. In task 1.5, we're going to be doing a little bit of writing. This is your big task this week. You don't have to worry. This assignment is not one of the major writing projects for this course. However, it is an important piece of writing because it will help me learn about you. Your piece of writing should be at least 400 words long. Over here in these boxes, you'll see I have some tips for your success. I would take a look at the Student Success Gallery Week 1. The Student Success Gallery can be found over here, this tab on the left. That just shows you examples of student work from previous semesters for you to get a sense of how other people have approached these assignments. I recommend to be sure to save your work for submission. You can type your work and submit a docx file. You can handwrite and submit a photo of your work. PDFs are typically fine. If I encounter any issues with different file types, I will be sure to let you know. I would only choose to handwrite your assignments if you have very neat handwriting. If I can't read your writing, that does not bode well for your grade. As far as what you'll actually be writing, you have two options here. You do not need to write about both. You are just picking one. The first one, English 1100, is obviously all about writing. So share a story about a time when a piece of writing, either something you wrote or something you read, made a meaningful impact on your life. Try to focus on a specific story, memory, or event related to a piece of writing that made an impact on you. And try to bring your story to life for your readers by using detailed description and maybe even some dialogue. Explain for your readers the qualities and contexts that made the piece of writing meaningful to you. And I have some additional info here. Here's how one writing teacher says she might respond to the prompt. And I'd like you to spend some time doing some pre-writing, such as free writing, listing, clustering, whatever works for you before you begin your draft. Option 2, you're taking a college course this semester, so you've made a decision to pursue higher education. For your first piece of writing for this course, share a story about an experience that helped you realize that higher education would be important in your life. The story could be about something that happened to you specifically, or about something that happened to someone you know. Try to focus on a specific story, memory, event, and try to bring your story to life for your readers by using detailed description and maybe even some dialogue. And again, here's an explanation about how one writing teacher might respond to this prompt. Task 1.6 is to make your Friday discussion post. So you'll almost always have a post on Wednesday and then another post on Friday. Your Friday post is due by 11:59, and I'd like you to do both of the following things here. You're going to choose an idea or strategy from any of this week's readings, the readings that were assigned in task 1.3, that you might like to use in your own writing that's due on Sunday. I'd like you to paraphrase or quote the idea or strategy and let your classmates know where it came from. That is, did it come from a chapter in the field guide or from a portion of Shelley Reed's essay? And then explain why you like that idea or strategy or why you think it can work well in your own writing. Finally, explain how you might use that particular idea or strategy in the piece of writing you'll turn in on Sunday. Alternatively, you could share a strategy you noticed in one of the week 1 student success gallery writings. Again, those are found over here. Be sure to explain what the strategy is, which student piece it came from, and how you might use a similar strategy in the piece of writing that is due on Sunday. Next, for step 2, you're going to read and view your classmates and or my introduction from Wednesday, and you're going to respond to at least 2 of them. It's going to be very common in our class. You will make a post and then respond to other people's writings. What connections do you have with either me or your peers based on the posts? Do you have any follow-up questions for them or any comments that you want to share? Feel free to comment on your classmates' posts in response to the idea or strategy they posted on Friday as well if you would like. And here is some brief instructions on how to create those posts. Finally, you're going to submit your week 1 work. The discussion board posts are due on Wednesday and Friday, and then the larger piece of writing that you're going to do is due Sunday at 11:59. So that's how pretty much every week in this class is going to go. A Wednesday discussion board post, a Friday discussion board post, and then a larger assignment or piece of writing due on Sunday. So this week you'll submit the writing that you produced in response to task 1.5. And I have a video here about how to submit an assignment in Blackboard. That is all for this week. If you are in my English 0199 class, I will be making a similar video to walk you through that class. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you.